Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at creating a simple drum machine which basically plays one-shot drum samples based around SF play. Now if you're playing audio files, you probably want your audio files to sort of automatically load into your plugin when you run it, so you don't really need to sort of open up each audio file every time you want to use that. So to preempt this, what you need to do is you need to create a folder, and in that folder you need to put in your audio files. So here I've got one for my kick and I've got one for my snare, and then importantly your max patch needs to be next to those files. So what Max will do is it will automatically search the folder for your audio file first before it searches other places. So it's more convenient to keep these sort of two there with that in a command. So create a folder and then have your actual sort of drum and snare in there. So to sort of get back to Max, we'll have a look at where I was going. So all I've done here is, to start off, I've got an EZ DAC which we can use to turn on and off the audio system, and then we've got a fader, which means that I can sort of turn the volume down before and not have any sort of accidents with noise. So to start off with, we're going to base this around SF play. So if we add a new object, SF play, and we output this to our sort of output point there, and then what we need to do is we need to tell it what file to actually open. So if we create a message, and then in there we'll have open kick.wav. So this kick.wav is the actual name of the kick file that's in my folder. So if I load that into there, and then to play the contents of that, we need another message, which is just the number 1. So we've got a couple of messages which are routed into our sound font thing. Now it's good to look at when we are using the sound font pane. If you actually look at your Max window and nothing's happening, it could be giving you important information. So if I lock the patch and then try and play this, it comes up with an error message telling me that there's no open file. So what I could do, what I really need to do, is I need to actually load in a WAV file or an AIF file into SF play for it to actually start playing. So if I click on this message, it then opens up this audio file into SF play. So then if I click the one, I'll turn it up, give it a bit more volume. So when it presses a 1, it gives us a audio sort of, it plays the audio file. So so that's basically, we've opened this. Now if I wanted this to automatically load this WAV file, I might want to use something like load bang. So if I create a load bang object, and what this does is when your patch first runs, it sends a bang to this message, and then so your SF play will automatically have the kick.wav already stored in there. An alternative way of doing this is the read message, and I mean the read message allows us to change the no, sorry, it's open. It's the open message, and this allows us, this opens up a file dialog, which means that we can sort of select the file that we want to actually select. But if you just use the open message, you're always going to have to click that to load a file in. So that may not be what you want to do. So we'll get rid of that. So I'll just sort of move this around. So I've got a this section. Now if I want to do 2, I can just sort of, if I just do 2, and then we can sort of do a duplicate of that and then load that to here. Now I've got another file called snare.wav. So again, we can use a load bang for when the patch starts, which will send a bang to this message, which means that we've got these 2 objects which allow us to play. So I'll just move this up here. And again, if I just move these along and duplicate that, we need a 1 which goes into here to actually play our snare sound. So if I lock these patch, and we need to automatically load that. So now I've got a drum kit. I'll make this a bit louder. So we've got 2 SF play objects which are loaded with different samples. Load bang means that this will load when we first start our synth, and then just activating one of these plays the 2 samples. So that's kind of the audio off of our sort of display. So now what we need to do is if we move this down by unselecting, we need to sort of connect this to our MIDI information. So we could use our MIDI in object, which basically receives all MIDI that's received from on your computer, and we'll route that to our X note in. What X note in does is it splits the MIDI notes into pitch, into velocity, and note on, note off, etc. So we'll connect our MIDI into that. Now if we lock this patch and then double click on MIDI in, we've got various devices. So we've got these automatic ones for routing, but I want to connect into my keyboard, which is actually here. So if we just add a few sort of boxes, we'll add a couple of number boxes just to display what's actually going on. So after I've unlocked the patch, so I'll add a box here, and this will display the MIDI note that I've played, and then we'll add a box here for the note in and note off. So now if I run the patch and then press a note on, I've got a MIDI keyboard connected to here. If I press a note, we'll press this one, 36. This is the lowest C on my keyboard, and now if I press the D, that's 38. And you'll also notice that we have when our keyboard is pressed, so I'm pressing a key now, this becomes 1, which indicates it's a note on, and then when I unselect the key, it sends a 0. So we've got these 2 bits of information which give us a bit of information about the state of the keyboard. So we'll move this all up just so we've got a thing. Now what we need to do is we need to play we'll sort of assign the number. We'll do a comment here just to give us some help. So MIDI key 36 is equals to our kick drum, and then MIDI key 38 is equal to our snare. So what I want is when I receive a note on for 36, I want to play the kick drum, and then when I want to note in on 38, I want my snare drum to actually play. So what we need to do is we need to separate this by the use of a if statement. So our if statement works upon, this is a fairly complex one, and I'd advise you looking at the individual videos I've got on the if statement. But $I1 equates to the first input. So if we'll do $I1 is equal to 36, then 1. So what should happen is this if statement will output a 1, and I'll do another number object just so that we can see what's actually going on here. So it will play. This will output a 1 when I play the number 36. So if I connect this to our 1 there, you'll notice it will play when I hit the button down, and when I release the button it'll actually play. So we do need to do some extra logic with this input there. So we need to do a combination of two inputs for this. So if input 1 is equal to 36, and then ampersand is and then we'll do $I2, which is input 2, is equals. So that means the same as 1, then 1. So now I root, we'll make this sort of big around here. I've got a really big 0 then. So now if I route this to these both, so now this will only output a 1 when this is note number is 36, and then this second one is equal to 1. So now if I lock this patch, it only sends this bang to this one object if I have sent a key number 36 and then this is a note on. If I press any other key, it does not send this one. So to tidy this up a little bit, we don't need this. So now if I want to have another key, I basically need a copy of this. So we'll do a duplicate of this if statement. And output it to our snare. So we'll route from our note in to input 1, and we'll route from our note on, note off to this one. And then importantly, we need to change the note number here. So if we do this one, 38 is going to play our snare. So if I lock this patch, so if I press the 36, that causes the kick drum to work. If I press key number 38, that causes the snare drum to actually work. If I press any other key, nothing actually happens. So now, using my keyboard, I can control these two samples. So that's basically doing a 2-channel. If you wanted to do, obviously a drum machine may have more channels than that. So that's a very simple drum machine.